My name is Ye Chan. I was just a simple college student. That day I was going to celebrate my girlfriend Shuo's birthday. But suddenly, on the way, a terrible car accident happened. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself standing in front of my own funeral. In front of my photo, my girlfriend and my closest friend were crying. At first, I thought they were truly sad for me. But after just a few seconds, I realized that all of this was their plan. They were both responsible for my death. I trembled with anger and shouted, "Don't put on this fake drama in front of me. If I ever get another life, I will never spare you two traitors." Suddenly, everything was swallowed by darkness. Then I realized I had been reborn. At that moment, a cold, mechanical voice echoed inside my mind. "Host's extreme head detection completed. Special system is being activated." I looked around in shock. Then, gritting my teeth, I said, "Now it's time to take revenge." The system said again, "In this life, you must reclaim everything that belongs to you. By increasing the favorability of beautiful girls, you can earn life points." Suddenly, a red warning started flashing. Host's life value has only 5 seconds left. Immediately increase life points. I froze in fear. Then my eyes fell on Lin Mo standing in front of me, and I quickly said, "To be honest, you are 100 times more beautiful than Shuo. You should be the real beauty queen of our class." As soon as I said this, the entire class went silent. Lin Mo asked in surprise, "What did you just say?" Then the system voice came, "Ding! 86 beauty point Lin Mo detected. Successfully bound. Current favorability score, 9. Then again a voice echoed, "Favorability increased to 2. Life points are increasing according to ratio. Congratulations, host. You have received 2,000 life points." I took a deep breath and said in my mind, "Phew, I barely survived. Now I still have to take revenge on those snakes, Shuo and Jia Kai." The whole class started whispering in shock. What happened to Selin today? Did he take the wrong medicine? He used to always follow Shuo. Now he's hovering around Lin Mo. Another boy said, "Maybe he doesn't know, but Shuo is the most jealous of Lin Mo." Then Lin Mo asked with a slight smile, "What's the matter, Celine? Not running after that fake sweet girl show today?" I replied in a cold voice, "I was blind before, but now everything is clear." Then my eyes fell on an expensive face cream in Lin Mo's hand. She asked, "Do you really like this?" I smiled and said, "You just need one cream, right? I'll buy you a full skincare set." A girl standing nearby immediately said, "One bottle costs as much as your several months' expenses." Another boy laughed. "I think he's just finding excuses to get close to Lin Mo." I lightly laughed and said, "Why only one? Cleanser, toner, serum, face cream, a complete premium set for you." Then I extended my hand and said, "Let's go buy it now." Lin Mo frowned and asked, "Do you really have the courage to go with me?" I replied without hesitation, "Of course." After that, Lin Mo and I reached a big cosmetics store. As soon as we entered, I said, "Do you have premium skincare collections?" A staff member arrogantly said, "The AC air here is enough for people like you. Do you even have the status to buy our high-end products?" Another staff laughed. "People like you just come to look, not to buy." Then the system activated again. Host must spend money on bound target. Beauty cashback mode activated. Beauty score, 86. Cashback ratio, 1.1. Whatever money is spent on beautiful girls will be returned to the host's account. The higher the beauty score, the higher the life points and cashback. I smiled slightly and thought, the more I spend, the more I benefit. The system immediately said, "Exactly, host." Then I directly looked at the staff and said, "Pack your store's most expensive and best skincare collection. The whole set." A staff member came to me respectfully and asked, "Sir, how can we help you?" Without wasting time, I said, "Take out your most premium skincare series and pack 10 sets. Hearing this, the employee's eyes widened. He stuttered, Sir, one set costs around 18,000. 10 sets will total 180,000. Then another staff standing nearby laughed mockingly. "New staff become fools so quickly. This poor guy's just showing off. If he even buys one set, I'll bow 3 times to him." I didn't even look at him. I just extended my card and said calmly, "Swipe it." Next second, the system voice rang. "Ding, 180,000 successfully paid. Beauty cashback has been transferred to your account. Please check your balance." Seeing successful payment on the machine, the employee's face turned pale. He immediately bowed and said, "Yes, sir. I will pack everything right now." The other staff was shocked, muttering, How is this possible?" Then Lin Mo smiled slightly and said, Why is it not possible? Just a while ago, you were the one saying that if he buys it, you'll bow 3 times. Now do it." Suddenly, the manager and some waiters rushed over. The manager respectfully asked, "Sir, did you make such a big purchase?" A professional smile appeared on his face. "Congratulations, sir. You are now our Black Diamond member." Then he angrily glared at the staff. "How dare you behave like this with sir? This is a big mistake and will be corrected immediately. Pack your things and leave. You are fired." The girl started crying and begging, "Sir, please give me another chance. I have a family. I made a mistake. I will never humiliate anyone again." But the manager said firmly, "No more excuses. Get out immediately." I said nothing and looked at Lin Mo and smiled. Yeah, let's go see what else you like. You can use the face cream later." Lin Mo just kept looking at me in surprise and slight embarrassment. Then the system voice rang again. "Ding! Lin Mo's favorability increased by 50. Host's life value increased by 50 days. Current life balance, 52 days. The manager bowed again and said, "Thank you, sir, for shopping at our store. We hope you will visit again." As we left the store, Lin Mo softly said, "Xiaolin, you bought so much for me. How can I repay you? I replied with a light laugh. It's just a little money. Your happiness is enough for me. After some time, we both returned to the campus. Seeing us together from a distance, all eyes were fixed on us as people whispered that Seelin and Lin Mo were back, and it looked like they hadn't even managed to buy anything. Chang Shua mocked Seelin, saying he was poor, and that after Shuo rejected him, he was now following Lin Mo. But Lin Mo's eyes turned cold, and she asked who had the courage to call her boyfriend poor. Shuo laughed and said Celine was just trash she had already thrown away, while others kept insulting him, telling Lin Mo not to fall for his fake sweet talk, saying if he was poor he should stop acting and go back to his village. Suddenly loud noise came from outside, and everyone rushed out in shock, wondering what was happening, and when they reached outside, they were stunned to see luxury cars lined up outside the campus. Black supercars, limousines, and expensive SUVs in a full row, with people carrying luxury gift boxes inside. Everyone was shocked, wondering who all this was for and how much it would cost, until professionally dressed men stepped forward and respectfully announced that Mr. Zia had spent 1.68 million yuan at the Global Shopping Center, and they had personally delivered all the items with their top VIP concierge team. I smiled slightly and thanked them for their hard work. And then one of them handed me a black diamond membership card, saying I would now receive the highest level service in the entire mall. Without hesitation, I took the card and handed it to Lin Mo, saying it was all for her, making her eyes shine as she shyly said I had bought so much for her, and she felt embarrassed accepting it, while everyone around was completely shocked, with one boy shouting how 1.68 million was even possible, and a girl saying he had actually bought all of it. Then Lin Mo calmly said that Celine liked to stay low profile, and people like them would never understand his real value, which made Chang Shua furious as she yelled how Lin Mo had become so arrogant and asked if she was crazy and whether he had really spent that much on her. While I coldly replied that how I spend my money is none of her business, making Chang Shua tremble in anger and call me disgusting. But this time, everyone turned against her instead, saying they always thought she was an innocent angel and calling her a drama queen. And when she tried to shout more, they held her back, telling her to wake up to reality because she was just the girl Selin had left. And Lin Mo deserved the class beauty title far more than her, which made her cry uncontrollably. Later that night, she sat with Zhao Kai, begging him to do something because of how Colleen treated her. And Zhao Kai's eyes turned cold as he said he would destroy me, while Chang Shua panicked, saying not to do anything. But inside, Zhao Kai thought that if he had controlled Yichan properly, all that money would be his. So he acted calm and said it was his fault, and promised that after graduation, he would give her gifts far more expensive than Selin's, making her emotional as they kissed, unaware that a boy was recording everything from the bushes and laughing that he had captured a perfect 5-minute masterpiece. Meanwhile, I was sitting in my hostel when I received a video from Lin Chao showing Lin Mo doing yoga and asking me to practice with her, which shocked me before I laughed and said she was a bombshell. When suddenly Fatty came in and showed me another video of Chang Shua and Zhao Kai kissing, but I calmly said the camera quality was good and they weren't worth immediate revenge and I would destroy them slowly. Then Fatty told me Chu Fei from the literature department had called me for tomorrow at 3 p.m. and the system suddenly detected Chu Fei as a 90-point extraordinary beauty closely related to Zhao Kai and warned me to proceed carefully. So I smiled and mentally wrote a poem for her, thinking the game had begun. And the next day I reached the college rooftop where Chu Fei was already waiting, and as soon as I approached, the system activated saying a 90-point beauty was detected and binding was successful, but her favorability was 50%, leaving me completely shocked as I wondered what I had ever done to make her hate me so much, even though I didn't even know her. But before I could even understand anything, Chu Fei suddenly attacked me, pushing me down forcefully and angrily shouting that just having money didn't mean I could do anything I wanted, saying Senior Zhao was a real genius and the dean's favorite student, and that I had the audacity to defame him, telling me to first face her flute. I looked at her in shock and asked what defamation she was talking about, and at that moment the system voice rang, detecting an attack on the host and automatically activating level 1 combat skills. And in the next instant, my body moved on its own, flipping her over and pinning her down, leaving her completely shocked as she trembled and said, how was this even possible since she had trained martial arts since childhood? I looked at her coldly and asked what Zhao Kai had told her and whether I was being accused of stealing, but she immediately insisted that I look at the Lianggu moment speed and see for myself, claiming it was the same poem Senior Zhao Kai had written for her and demanding if I would still lie. And I laughed slightly, asking her what if Zhao Kai actually sent the same poem to flirt with Liu Mo, but she immediately denied it, saying he was an honest senior and told me to verify it myself. So I silently laughed and showed her a video from my phone saying she should first see what her great senior was doing hiding in the forest. And as soon as the video played, her eyes widened as she saw Zhao Kai and Shuo together, and after a few seconds of silence, she suddenly exploded in anger, calling Zhao Kai a bastard and saying how she could have fallen for someone like that. Then embarrassed, she apologized to me, saying she had misunderstood me, me, and I calmly said it was fine and it was good she hadn't fallen completely into his trap. And immediately the system announced that Chufei's favorability had increased by 60%, and her current favorability was now 10%, and the host had gained 100 days of life value, after which she clenched her fists and said she wanted to expose Zhao Kai's true face in front of the entire school and asked for my help. And the next day in college, Chufei entered the classroom. While Zhao Kai smiled at her, but she looked at him with disgust, thinking how she could have ever liked such a loser. And the system again showed a massive favorability increase of 200 points and 200 days of life value. While I laughed internally, wondering if this was really possible, then Fatty came to me and whispered that he had hacked all the school devices, and I calmly said, let's see how big today's drama will be. And soon in the literature class, Zhao Kai dramatically began reciting poetry for Chufei, calling her smile like waves on a calm lake that created emotions in his empty heart. But suddenly Chufei shouted, "Enough!" shocking everyone, and then coldly said, how could he propose to her with such a dried rose, mentioning that she had heard I had spent 2 million for Lin Mo, and Zhao Kai quickly said money wasn't important and he wasn't fake. But Chufei laughed and accused him of flirting with 2 girls at the same time, and even sending the same poem to Lin Mo, making Zhao Kai panic and deny it, saying she was his only muse. But she then calmly raised her phone and showed a live video stream, and within seconds the entire school saw the explicit video of Zhao Kai and Shuo, with Shuo's voice clearly heard, leaving Zhao Kai completely panicked and shouting for them to stop the stream. But at that moment the principal arrived furious and declared both students would be expelled immediately, and anyone responsible for spreading the live stream would also be punished for damaging the school's reputation. And shortly after, both Chufei and I were called to the principal's office, where the principal angrily asked how we had the courage to do something that had brought such disgrace to the school. Chufei immediately stepped forward and said, "Principal, the whole plan was mine. Senior Seelin only helped me. If anyone should be punished, punish me." I replied calmly, "Principal, I heard the school needs funding for a new laboratory building. If I invest, would you reconsider this matter?" The principal laughed mockingly. "Ridiculous. Where would a student get 20 million from?" I smiled casually and said, "Only 20 million? That's just my pocket money." Then I looked at Yufei and said, "Give me your bank card number." Completely confused, she asked, "Why do you need my card number?" With a slight smile, I replied, "Just give it to me. You'll understand soon enough." A few seconds later, a notification appeared on her phone. Bank transfer, 2 million yuan received. At the same moment, the system's voice echoed again. Ding! Host spent 2 million on Chuyu. Cashback rate 10 to 1. Congratulations, host. You have earned a profit of 20 million. Hearing this, the principal nearly choked in shock and stared at me. Wait a minute. Seelin, is what you're saying actually true? Looking calmly into his eyes, I answered, "Of course. It's absolutely true." Leaning back comfortably in my chair, I continued, "But I heard your laboratory only needs 20 million. Then I tapped my phone again and chuckled lightly. "Oh, sorry. It seems I accidentally typed 1 0 less." The very next second, another notification sounded. Bank transfer, 20 million yuan successfully received. At the same time, the system's mechanical voice announced, "Ding! Host spent 20 million on Chuyu. Cashback rate 10 to 1. Then the system spoke again. "Congratulations, host. You have received 200 million yuan. Chufei stared at me in complete shock. "Selin, why did you send all the money to my account?" "Wait, I'll transfer it back right now." In a calm voice, I said, "There's no need. The school was going to expel me anyway. Yufei, donate this money to the school. There's no point backing out now." Hearing this, the principal immediately cleared his throat and forced a smile onto his face. "Who said you were going to be expelled? Now both of you are the pride of our school." Chufei nervously said, "I can't accept such a huge amount of money." Leaning closer to her, I whispered into her ear, "This money is completely clean. It's legally registered under my name. There's nothing to be afraid of." The principal quickly added, "Absolutely. The donation will be recorded under your name. Please don't worry." With a slight smile, I said, "Then let's make the donation under both our names. You don't have any problem with that, do you?" At that moment, the system flashed again. Ding! Chufei's favorability increased by 40%. Host's life value increased by 400 days. I felt delighted inside. Then I looked at the principal and said, "I have 2 more conditions. First, a modern martial arts gym will be built for Yufei. Second, as long as Yufei wishes to stay, the school will give her the highest position and the highest salary." The principal immediately laughed. "Of course. Chufei is the pride of our school. Several of her works have already been published in major magazines. We would definitely like to keep such a talented girl." Chufei looked at me with wide eyes. "Seelin, why are you doing so much for me?" At that moment, the system spoke again. Ding! Chuyu's favorability increased by 30%. Host's life value increased by 300 days. Current remaining lifespan, 887 days. Then the system jokingly added, "Congratulations, host. You have earned the right to live 3 more days. You have also received a limited time random lottery chance." A while later, I received a message on my phone. "Thank you, brother. Are you free this evening? I have a surprise for you." Smiling to myself, I thought, nice. Time to increase my life points once again. That evening, I arrived at Lin Muo's house. As soon as she opened the door, she made a cat-like sound. Meow, you're here! Then she grabbed my hand and quickly pulled me inside. Come in quickly. Sit down first. I made a special Lucky Cat coffee just for you. As she approached me carrying the coffee, her foot suddenly slipped and she fell directly onto me. Her wet clothes clung tightly to her body and the atmosphere suddenly became uncomfortably heated. Blushing deeply, Lin Mu said, "Sorry, brother. I accidentally fell. I felt my throat go dry." Quickly looking away, I said, "It's okay. Go change your clothes first." As soon as she went inside, I let out a deep breath. Good thing I moved away in time. Otherwise, tonight would have become my first night at Lin Muo's house. Just then, loud noises suddenly came from outside. In a dark alley, Zhao Kai was kneeling on the ground and crying. "Cousin, please show some mercy. If that cunning woman Shou hadn't run away with my money, I would have repaid you long ago." The man standing in front of him replied coldly, "Zhao Kai, you used the same excuse last time. If I don't get my money this time, I won't remain a nice person." With a trembling voice, Zhao Kai pleaded, "Brother, just give me a little more time. Please trust me." Then he suddenly pointed at Shuo, who was standing behind him. "For now, Shuo can serve you." The man laughed crudely. "Oh, now we're talking. Fine, I'll give you a few more days." After saying that, he slowly began walking toward Shuo. At that moment, I arrived there. Crying, Shuo ran toward me. "Brother Linda, please save me." The man glared at me and said, "Oh, so this kid is the one with the money. If he won't pay, then grab him instead." In the next moment, several people surrounded me from all sides, carrying iron rods and baseball bats. One of them shouted loudly, "Beat this guy so badly that he'll never be able to stand up again. Whoever beats him the most gets the girl." I glanced around and immediately realized that the people in front of there were simply too many of them. Grinding my teeth internally, I thought, damn it. Fighting all of them head on isn't possible. Just then, the system's voice rang out. "Ding! The host's limited time random lottery is about to expire. Would you like to draw now?" I quickly replied, "Draw." The next moment, the system announced, "Congratulations, you have obtained the bro card. To use it, simply shout, 'Bro,' and then give the target a hug. All hostility will disappear. However, the effect only lasts for 15 minutes. Completely confused, I blurted out, "What kind of ridiculous item is this?" At that moment, the thugs charged toward me. Left with no choice, I shouted, "Come on, bros!" Then I grabbed the man in front and gave him a tight hug. "Bro, give me a hug!" The next second, the man's eyes lit up. "Oh, my best bro." And just like that, within a second, the entire gang surrounded me shouting, "Bro, bro," while taking turns hugging me. Inside, I thought, thank God I checked the system's entire inventory. Otherwise, this crazy system would have completely scammed me. After things calmed down, Shuo slowly walked toward me. Her eyes were red as she softly said, "Thank you, Lin. I really never wanted to betray you." I looked at her coldly and said, "Do you really think I'll dance to your words again like before? Stop dreaming. Even if you weren't here today, I still would have come to save someone. There's still time. Leave this place." As she watched my departing back, Shuo thought to herself, what happened to me? Why didn't I realize Seelan's worth? No matter what, I have to win him back. At that moment, the system activated again. Ding! The 89-point beauty show has now been bound to the host. Current favorability, 40%. Congratulations, you have gained 40 days of life. Annoyed, I muttered, what a ridiculous system. The person who hurt me the most is now bound to me. Then I looked at Shuo and coldly said, "Do you know why I saved you today? Because if you die, it'll be by my hands." Just then, a new message arrived on my phone. "Hey fatty, next Saturday is the high school reunion. Campus goddess Job Wanching is coming too. I heard she's still single. Who knows, maybe she still misses you." Irritated, I replied, "Shut up, stop talking nonsense." But deep down I thought, events like that are gold mines. Opportunities like this don't come around every weekend. The next morning in the dormitory, I woke up early and stretched. Another day off. A guy beside me said, "President, you seem a little strange today. Is everything okay?" Another added worriedly, "If you need any help, just say the word." Soon everyone chimed in together. "Yeah, President, we're all with you." Finally, the president spoke in a heavy voice. "Lily and I have been together since freshman year, but after what I saw yesterday after class, I still can't accept it." Looking down sadly, he continued, "Lily always seemed so innocent and cute. How could she do something like this?" Putting a hand on his shoulder, I said, "President, don't worry. Leave this matter to me." Meanwhile, in the city's largest shopping mall, Lily was holding her new boyfriend's arm and acting spoiled. "Baby, I want a designer bag today." Smirking, the boy replied, "That depends on how well you behave today." Pretending to be shy, Lily leaned against his shoulder. Just then, the mall staff all bowed and greeted him. "Welcome, young master." I casually waved my hand and said, "There's no need to be so formal." Lily looked shocked. "What's going on on here? Someone nearby whispered. Looks like another rich family drama is about to start. Then Lily looked up at a giant screen and asked, Baby, what's dragon leaping and tiger roaring? The boy proudly explained, See that giant screen in the center? If someone spends more than 50 million in a single day, that dragon video plays for them all day. Lily's eyes widened. Oh my God, I spent so much time with that useless fat loser. Then she sweetly said, Baby, I feel like eating Uncle Hugh's ice cream. Can you go get some for me? The boy smiled. Of course, baby. The moment he left, Lily suddenly ran over to my friend and hugged him tightly. Where have you been all this time? You didn't even talk to me. My friend angrily pushed her away. Go back to that fat boyfriend of yours. Why are you here now? Lily immediately put on an innocent expression. I don't know what you're talking about. At that moment, I slowly walked over and stopped in front of her. With a faint smile, I said, Chin Lily, you're actually a pretty good actress. Lily stepped back, trembling, and stammered, Seelin, you're here. Then she immediately switched back to her innocent act. What are you talking about? I don't understand. Fake tears instantly appeared in her eyes. No, it's not what it looks like. Let me explain. That fat bastard forced me. He made me do everything. Please give me one more chance. At that moment, the fat man exploded in anger. You bitch! I sent you 20,000 every month and now you're saying I forced you? The surrounding crowd immediately started whispering. Oh, so that's the kind of girl she is. Annoyed, I waved my hand and said, All right, brothers, I'm heading back first. You guys enjoy your shopping. But my friends immediately replied, No, brother, we're coming with you. Then the system's voice echoed again. Ding, a 93-point beauty, Xiaojihan, has been detected. Successfully bound. Xiaojihan's current favorability toward the host, 0. At that same moment, a rich young man stood in front of Xiaojihan and stylishly said, If you go on a date with me, any car here can be yours. Xiaojihan calmly replied, Sorry, right now I just want to finish my degree. The young man said irritably, Miss, you don't understand what I'm offering. I slowly stepped forward and said, She already made it clear that she's not interested. The young man glared at me and said, What's your problem? This has nothing to do with you. The girl standing beside him curled her lips and sneered, Our young Master Xing could buy 10 people like you if he wanted to. You're just a frog chasing after free things. With a faint smile, I replied, If you really have that much money, then go buy a Lamborghini and show us. Then I turned toward Xiaojihan and asked, Miss, would you like to come with me? Looking slightly uncomfortable, she said, Seelin, I've dragged you into trouble because of these people. Smiling, I replied, It's okay. I'm happy to help you. At that moment, the system announced, Ding! Xiaojihan's favorability has increased by 10%. Host's life value has increased by 500 days. Inside, I was delighted. Yes, it worked. Just then, the showroom manager hurried over to the rich young man and said respectfully, Yes, young master, please tell me which car you would like to see. The young man arrogantly replied, What do you think? Do these two look like they can afford any of the cars here? As soon as we entered the showroom, the manager looked me up and down and said disdainfully, No one is allowed inside this place without permission. Get out. Raising an eyebrow, I asked, Are you the manager here? He answered coldly, Yes, and this place isn't for poor students like you. At that moment, I called over a female salesperson who was passing by. Miss, could you come here for a moment? She immediately replied politely, Yes, sir. How may I help you? The manager laughed and said, Do you think this girl can save you? Leave the showroom immediately, or I'll have to call security. Ignoring him completely, I said to the salesperson, Please show me the special model designed for women. The salesperson instantly smiled. Certainly, sir. This is our special SUV model for female customers. It is available in both pink and white. The people around us began mocking me. Stop wasting everyone's time. He probably can't even afford the price of one tire. Just then, another wealthy young man walked into the showroom and said, Manager Hang, show me the cars as well. The manager immediately bowed before him and said, Of course, young Master Li. Then he looked at Xia Jihan and said, Miss Xia, do you like this model? Xia Jihan softly replied, For my major's projects, I have to travel to many places. If I had a car, it would be easier, but this one is very expensive. Without any hesitation, I said, If you need it, then the price doesn't matter. We'll take this car. Top trim, white color. The saleswoman was completely stunned. Sir, really? Sir, would you like to think it over one more time? I directly took out my card and handed it to her. Swipe it. The very next second, the system's voice echoed. Ding, 10 million spent successfully. The host has spent 10 million on Xia Jihan. Beauty cashback rate 1 to 50. Congratulations. You have received 500 million. The entire showroom fell silent. Did he really buy it? Oh my God. Is this real? The people who had been acting arrogant until now started trembling. One boy quietly said, What? Should we buy one too? Another immediately whispered, Are you crazy? I only drive a Tesla because I can't afford a more expensive car. Let's quietly get out of here. Manager Hang had sweat on his forehead. He immediately bowed in front of me and said, Young Master Xia, please truly forgive me. I failed to recognize you. Please forgive my mistake. Then he he quickly turned toward the staff and said in a nervous voice, "Update the system and prepare Sir's car immediately." After that, he spoke even more respectfully. "Sir, since you bought a car for Miss Shia, would you also like to look at a model for yourself?" With a faint smile, I said, "All right, but show me the newest and most luxurious model." The manager's eyes lit up. "Sir, you will definitely like it. The car will be delivered to you within just 1 week." I casually nodded. "Okay, I can wait." Meanwhile, Lily and her boyfriend were arguing when suddenly a dragon animation started playing on the mall's giant screen, indicating that someone had spent a huge amount of money. Seeing this, Lily's face fell, and she muttered regretfully, "I really regret it." Just then, security guards escorted both of them out. On the other hand, Miss Shia and I were sitting in the new car. Looking out the window, she softly said, "And thank you. I never thought we would meet again after that incident." In a calm voice, I replied, "It's no big deal. It was just a small favor." She smiled lightly and said, "Next time, I'll treat you. Consider it my little thank you for saving me." I laughed and replied, "All right, it's a deal." Just then, the loud voices of my friends came from outside. "Lynn, how much longer is it going to take? We're waiting outside." I slapped my forehead and said, "Damn, I had almost completely forgotten." Today was the high school reunion. A little while later, I arrived in front of Dow Hotel. The massive luxury hotel was shining with lights. As soon as I walked inside, my old classmates slowly started whispering when they saw me. "Hey, isn't that Seelan? It's been 3 years since graduation and he still looks poor." Then someone pretended to ease the atmosphere and said, "Hey, don't look down on him so much. He's an old classmate after all." Jiang Xiao said with a fake smile, "Seelan, it's been a long time." I replied coldly, "Yeah, a long time." As we entered, everyone was amazed by the hotel's luxurious decoration. "Wow, this hotel is on another level." Then someone said, "This is all thanks to Jiang Xiao. We're eating at a place like Dow Hotel because of him." Jiang Xiao waved his hand and said with fake humility, "Come on, we're all old friends. Don't be so formal. Today's entire bill is on me." Hearing that, everyone cheered excitedly. Then nobody's holding back today. A boy praised him and said, "I heard your family won a new energy project?" Swirling his wine glass, Zhang Xiao replied, "Oh, it's nothing major. My family just invested a few $100 million for fun." Everyone's eyes widened. "A few $100 million is a small matter to you? Brother, when you become a big shot, don't forget us." Then someone asked, "By the way, why hasn't Seelan arrived yet?" Another boy laughed and said, "Maybe he's afraid to come up. I heard he ruined his reputation in college chasing after some girl." Another boy laughed as well. He was the same in high school. A guy who grew up in an orphanage actually dreams of girls like that. At that moment, I stood at the door and said coldly, "Who said I'm afraid to come?" The entire room fell silent in an instant. I slowly walked in and said with a faint smile, "Such a grand reunion, and I wouldn't come? How could that be possible?" Someone looked me up and down and burst out laughing. "Seelan, you came to Dow Hotel wearing street clothes. Aren't you ashamed? You're seriously dragging down the class's reputation." Another boy laughed and said, "Since Zhang Xiao is paying today, after the meal you should get some food packed too. At least it'll help you survive for a few days." The room once again echoed with laughter. One boy pretended to be sympathetic and said, "Seelan, after all, we're classmates. My family's warehouse needs workers. The pay is $4,000 a month. Interested?" I calmly replied, "No, your position is too small. You can't afford someone like me." The next moment, the room erupted with laughter again. "What does this orphan think he is?" Suddenly, the system's voice echoed in my mind. "Ding! High attraction female detected. Beauty score, 91. Zhao Wan successfully bound. Current favorability, 0. When favorability reaches 1, the host will receive 50 days of life." I looked up and saw Zhao Wan King walking in. She was already beautiful before, but now she looked even more mature, classy, and heart-stealing. My friend Wang Qi pulled out a chair for her and said, "Sit here." But instead of sitting there, Wang King walked straight over and sat beside me. As soon as she sat down, Zhang Xiao's expression tightened slightly. He immediately signaled to the staff, "Bring the wine." After a while, a waiter brought an extremely expensive bottle of red wine. Zhang Xiao lifted his glass and said, "Come on, everyone, try this wine." Then he said in an annoyed tone, "Seelan, move aside a little. I'm serving wine to Wang King." I didn't even look at him and calmly replied, "There's plenty of space behind me. Go around." Grinding his teeth, Zhang Xiao started moving around from the side. Then suddenly he shouted, and in the very next second, the expensive bottle of red wine fell to the floor and shattered completely. He angrily yelled, "Damn it! This was Romani Conti! One bottle cost 500,000 yuan!" Then he pointed at me and shouted, "Sell and pay up!" Some people nearby immediately joined in. "Why waste time talking to him? Just call the police. 500,000 isn't a small amount." Another boy said coldly, "He was acting so arrogant just now. Now he'll get a taste of prison." Curling his lips, Zhang Xiao said, "Actually, there's one way out." Raising an eyebrow, I asked, "What way?" He pointed at the wine spilled beneath the table and said, "Lick the entire floor clean and then I'll let you go." Looking at him coldly, I replied, "And if I don't?" Suddenly, Zhao Wang King stood up and said, "Zhang Xiao, we're all classmates. Don't stoop this low." Zhang Xiao immediately softened his tone and said, Wonking, I only brought this wine for you. I smiled faintly, took a card out of my pocket and said, fine, 500,000, right? Then I looked at the waiter and said, add another 10 bottles of Romani Conti and send all of them to the Emperor Hall on the top floor. The waiter was completely shocked. Sorry, sir, but Emperor Hall was booked long ago. Nobody can enter there today. Hearing this, Zhang Xiao and his friends burst into loud laughter. Ha, Selin, who are you trying to impress? People like you can't book Emperor Hall. And now you want 10 more bottles? Zhang Xiao laughed and said, you give off such a fake rich vibe. In reality, you're completely broke. I calmly said, check again carefully. Can I enter or not? As soon as the waiter looked at the screen again, his face instantly turned pale. He immediately bowed and hurriedly said, sorry, sir. We'll make all the arrangements right away. The atmosphere instantly changed. Send 10 bottles of rare Romani Conti to Emperor Hall immediately. At the same time, the system's voice echoed again. Ding! 5 million yuan has been successfully spent. The entire hall fell silent. How is this possible? Emperor Hall? Someone shouted in disbelief. Dao Hotel's legendary Emperor Hall cannot be booked with money alone. You need proof of assets worth at least 9 figures. Another person quietly said, so that means Mr. Sia is the mysterious guest who booked Emperor Hall for an entire week? Several staff members immediately bowed respectfully and said, welcome, sir. Please come with us. I looked at Jiao Wangking and said, Wangking, the atmosphere here has become too toxic. Let's go somewhere else. She smiled lightly and replied, okay. As we started walking away, all the classmates ran after us. Celine, we want to see Emperor Hall too. Please take us with you. We completely misunderstood you. Then Zhang Xiao hurried forward, raised a glass and said, young Master Xia, I was truly blind. As punishment, I'll drink 3 glasses. Then, forcing a smile, he added, everything I said was nonsense. Please don't take offense. Another boy immediately said, booking Emperor Hall means a net worth of at least tens of billions. It seems we didn't even recognize the real tycoon. The very next moment, everyone's behavior had completely changed. Seelin, you really turned out to be on another level. Cheers, sir. Please forgive us. I laughed lightly and said, no problem. I don't take such small matters seriously. Everyone let out a sigh of relief. I laughed to myself. Just a short while ago, these same people were insulting me, and now their expressions were worth watching. Just then, my phone rang. Mr. Xia, I've arrived at the location you sent. You can collect your car now. I replied, all right, I'm coming. Seeing an opportunity, Zhang Xiao immediately said, young Master Xia, I've booked the best VIP booth at Royal Bar. You and Wan King must come. At least give me a chance to make up for my mistake. I looked at Jiao Wan King and asked, do you want to go? After thinking for a few seconds, she smiled and said, I haven't relaxed in a long time. Let's have some fun today. A little while later, we arrived at the parking lot. The limited edition supercar parked there left everyone stunned. Wow, that's a Lamborghini concept car. It must be worth hundreds of millions. Just then, Manager Hung quickly walked forward, lowered his head and said, sir, you finally arrived. We've been waiting for you. Taking the keys, I said, sorry for the trouble. Manager Hung immediately replied, it's an honor for us to serve you. Standing beside him, Zhang Xiao said in shock, Manager Hung, you personally came to deliver the car? The manager looked at him coldly and said, young Master Xia is our most respected customer. Then he looked at Zhang Xiao and said, Mr. Xia and Miss Wanqing, please take good care of them. As soon as we arrived at the Royal Bar, the whole atmosphere started heating up. Shah Jahan and Chu Fei were drinking there when a few people came and began harassing them. At that moment, the system's voice echoed, ding! 2 beautiful girls are in danger. Host, would you like to use a prop to help? Annoyed, I said, system, stop wasting time and give it to me now. The system immediately announced, congratulations. Host, you have obtained the 1% power skill. Duration, only 15 minutes. Just then, a drunken Zhang Xiao shouted, Brother Yi, this is the guy who insulted me at the class reunion. The huge man standing in front of me looked at me and laughed. You're not as weak as you look. Do you know who I am? I replied coldly. Who you are makes no difference to me. Grinding his teeth, he said, you picked a fight with the wrong person. Then he looked at his men and said, we can't kill him directly, so humiliate him in front of everyone. At that moment, the bar manager stepped forward and said, sir, since this fight started because of you, you will have to pay for all the damages. These gentlemen are supreme members of the royal dynasty. Can you afford that compensation? One man curled his lips and said, that's right. If he can really pay that much money, I'll hang upside down and wash my hair with shampoo. I raised an eyebrow and asked, what's the highest level charge available here? The manager replied in surprise, the Emperor VIP seat. No one has ever recharged to that level before. It requires at least 1 million at a time. I calmly said, open 1 Emperor VIP seat for each of these 2 girls. The next second, the system started making announcements like crazy. Ding! Host spent 100 million for Chu Fei. Cashback rate 1 to 10. Congratulations, host, you received 1 billion. Ding! Host spent 100 million for Jia Jihan. Cashback rate 1. Congratulations, host, you received 5 billion. Ding, host spent 100 million for Zhao Wanqing. Cashback rate 1, congratulations, host. You received 5 billion. The system then said one final time, current host balance, 1132 billion. Everyone standing nearby froze like statues. Could the machine be malfunctioning? 300 million? The manager immediately dropped to his knees. Honored Emperor VIP, from now on the highest authority in this place belongs to you. What are your orders? I looked coldly at the drunken man and said, first, he must apologize for harassing these two women. Trembling, the manager whispered, Sir, he is the heir of one of the 4 great families of the southern region, young Master Fang. I chuckled lightly. Oh, right. And one more thing. My classmate who said he would wash his hair upside down? Take him backstage and hang him upside down for 5 hours. Let him shampoo as much as he wants. Immediately, several guards dragged Zhang Xiao away. He screamed, Let me go! What are you doing? But no one around had the courage to say a single word. I slowly walked toward young Master Fang. Now it's your turn. At that moment, the system's final notification sounded. Congratulations, host. You have gained 200 days of life. Current lifespan, 399 days. With a slight smile on my lips, I thought to myself, yes, keep bringing me more cash back like this. Just then, the owner of the bar hurried inside. Boss, you're here. The manager standing beside him quietly said, Sir, this person activated 3 Emperor VIP seats in a single night. The owner's eyes trembled slightly. What? Find out immediately. I want to know what family background he has. Meanwhile, it was already very late at night, the last night of the weekend. Leaning back on the sofa, I said with a bored expression, this is so boring. Then I opened a live streaming app on my phone, and at that very moment the system's voice rang out. Ding, a young woman named Yang Tong with a beauty score of 93 has been detected. Successfully bound. Current favorability toward host, 0. On the screen, a beautiful girl smiled and said, Thank you, Dragon Bro, for the sports car. Love you, Mua. Then she looked at the streamer on the opposite side and said, Yang Tong, if you lose this PK match, you'll have to wear a dog costume, walk around the street, and bark. The streamer on the other side angrily replied, Don't go overboard. Someone in the chat wrote, Who is this new guy? He doesn't even know how to send gifts. Another person laughed, Oh my god, a level 1 account is calling himself Money Boss. Looking at the health bars on the screen, everyone mocked him. Our PK score is 20 times higher than theirs. Now even Dragon Bro has arrived. Victory is guaranteed, Yang Tong said coldly. Whether he's capable or not, we'll find out soon enough. As a joke, I first sent a small heart gift. Yang Tong smiled slightly and said, Thank you, Money Boss, for the gift. Instantly, the chat exploded with laughter. Yeah, he wants to win with a $1 heart gift. At this rate, you'll still lose next year. Then I sent a carnival gift. The screen flashed. Money Boss Lin has sent a carnival. Yang Tong looked surprised and said, Oh, thank you, Lin Bobo. But the girl on the opposite side curled her lips and said, Just one carnival and he's pretending to be rich. Looks like he spent his entire month's salary. I chuckled coldly, then started spamming gifts continuously. Money Boss Lin has sent 10 carnivals. 50 carnivals. The entire live stream went crazy. At that moment, one of the rival streamer's supporters saw my gifts and said, 50 carnivals? Fine, then I'll send some too, sister. Dragon Bro refused to back down as well. Dragon Bro has sent a carnival! The numbers on the screen started rising rapidly, and the chat was filled with excitement. Only 1 minute left. Yang Tong, your game is over. Just then, I placed my finger on the gift button. Money Boss Lin has sent 100 carnivals, 500 carnivals, 1,000 carnivals. The entire platform seemed to freeze. The gift effects on the screen showed no signs of stopping. Yang Tong was so excited she was almost in tears. Thank you, Lin Bro. On the other side, the rival streamer screamed, Impossible! There's no way this is possible. The chat exploded completely. More than 600 carnivals. Over 16 million! This is what a real money boss looks like. Terrified, the top streamer on the opposing side ended her live stream and ran away. The chat burst into laughter. Respect to the boss. Dragon Bro's era is over. Then the system announced, Ding! Host spent 16.8 million for Yang Tong. Beauty cashback, 84 million. I smiled slightly and continued watching the screen. During the live stream, Yang Tong said coldly, You've already lost. Now put on the dog costume and complete your punishment on the street. A little later, the streamer was actually seen standing on the road barking like a dog. Passersby stared at her in shock. Young people these days have no shame at all. If she were my daughter, I'd beat her to death. Someone nearby laughed and said, She got exactly the punishment she deserved. Everyone in the chat was celebrating. Money Boss Lin OP, you made our day. Then Yang Tong gritted her teeth and said, The senior sisters from my guild are coming. Let's see how long you can keep acting arrogant. At the same moment, notifications started flooding my phone. New streamer Shirley has sent you a PK invitation. New streamer Zoomin has sent you a PK invitation. Chung Chung wants to connect. I laughed and said, since they couldn't win, they called the whole team. Interesting. A cold voice came from the other side. Scared now? If you kneel and apologize, maybe we'll let you go. Yang Tong looked slightly nervous and asked, Lin bro, you can handle this, right? I calmly replied, don't worry. I'm here. One beautiful streamer after another appeared on the screen. Yang Tong, how dare you insult our sister like that? We heard you create a lot of drama on the top charts. Is this how your guild operates? Laughter came from the other side. If you want to fight, then come. Soon, a full-scale gift war erupted across the screen. His Majesty has sent a spaceship. President Su has sent a rocket. Emperor Qi has sent a luxury yacht. Suddenly, Yang Tong stood up. Wait a minute. I have some talents, too. Let me change clothes first. Someone in the chat mocked her. Changing clothes won't help. Even if you wear a dragon costume, you'll still lose. A short while later, Yang Tong began performing a K-pop dance. It wasn't particularly professional, but everyone still enjoyed it. Someone typed in the chat, how can she be so shameless? I chuckled lightly and said, oops, my hand slipped. Suddenly, the entire screen lit up. Everyone was stunned. Did you see that? Their top supporter got scared and ran away. Just a moment ago, he was bragging about defeating 5 people by himself. The rival streamer gritted her teeth and said, he'll come back. I replied coldly, keep dreaming. Then I laughed again. Oops, my hand slipped again. The next moment, a massive notification flashed across the screen. Super supporter Lin has sent a Phoenix Nirvana, worth 300,000. Then the numbers started climbing rapidly. 100 Phoenix Nirvana sent. 300 cent. 500 cent. The entire live stream shook with excitement. Yang Tong screamed excitedly, thank you, super supporter Lin. The system immediately announced, Lin has now become the highest level super supporter. Noble badge unlocked. The live stream screen looked as if it were on fire. The chat was exploding nonstop. Wow! The top supporter spent 100 million by himself. Oh my god! This is the first time I've ever seen a Phoenix Nirvana gift. The faces of the rival streamers turned completely pale. How is this possible? Even all of us combined can't reach 100 million. Yang Tong smiled coldly and said, you've already lost. According to the rules, all of you must quit streaming. The girls on the other side immediately started shouting, I won't quit! You bribed the platform. Just then, a system notification flashed across the screen. After investigation, it has been determined that the related guild deliberately created online conflicts. The guild has been permanently banned. The entire chat erupted with joy. Lingard, this is real justice. You shook the entire platform. Leaning back on the sofa, I smiled slightly. I'm really in a good mood today. Let's put on a huge fireworks show in the live stream. Instantly, fireworks animations filled the entire screen. Yang Tong said excitedly, thank you, Lin, for always supporting me. Then, blushing slightly, she asked, can we add each other on Bubble? I laughed and replied, sure. Yang Tong's face brightened immediately. Lin, I want to treat you to dinner. When are you free? With a slight smile, I answered, I'll check my schedule and message you later. At that moment, the system announced, ding. Host spent 100 million for Yang Tong. Cashback 5 billion. Yang Tong's favorability increased by 30. Host's lifespan increased by 100,500 days. Other streamers in the chat also started joking around. Western King Lin, I'm very sexy too. If you have time, please visit my live stream. Someone even made a business offer. Mr. Lin, would you be interested in investing in our company? We have several top-tier beauty streamers. I got bored and put my phone down. Suddenly, the sound of heavy breathing could be heard. This is getting pretty boring now. Just then, an urgent call came in on my phone. A panicked voice on the other end said that there was a problem with the school's new laboratory building. The vice principal had arrived with a large group of people and was about to confront the principal. I immediately stood up and said, don't worry. I'm on my way right now. Meanwhile, several people had surrounded the principal and my girlfriend at the school. The vice principal stepped forward and said, hand over the laboratory building project to me. You are not capable of handling this responsibility. The people standing beside him began shouting as well. From now on, Vice Principal Wang will run the school. Wang Chen smiled and said, and Mr. Fang has already arranged my appointment letter. Xu Yufei gritted her teeth and replied, that's not surprising. You're Fang Hongshen's uncle, which is why you're so corrupt. Wang Chen looked at Yufei with a crooked smile and said, so you're the girl my nephew told me about. You've got quite an attitude. Trembling with anger, Yufei said, I'm going to report your abuse of power. Wang Chen immediately shouted, grab her! As several people moved to surround Yufei, she stepped back in fear. Laughing, Wang Chen said, I'm the principal. I have every right to discipline students. Where did you get the courage to report me? Suddenly, the door burst open with a loud crash and I entered the room. Who dared touch my people? Everyone turned to look at me. Grinding his teeth, Wang Chen said, You're ruining all our plans again. Then he shouted, Everyone, pick up your weapons and capture him. I said in a cold voice, System, redeem prank item. Instantly, the system's voice echoed, Prank item redeemed, itching powder. I scattered the powder throughout the room. The moment it landed on those people, they began scratching uncontrollably. Ah, why is it so itchy? The entire room descended into chaos. Wang Chen roared angrily, A bunch of useless fools! Then he charged toward me himself. Calmly, I said, System, throw a banana peel. The very next second, Wang Chen slipped and crashed heavily onto the ground. Ah, my back! Even after falling, he continued shouting in rage. At the same time, the vice principal rushed forward and pressed a knife against the principal's throat. Sign the project transfer agreement immediately, or you won't leave here alive. The principal replied coldly, I will never agree. Frightened, Yufei asked, Selen, what should we do now? I calmly stood before her and said, Don't be afraid. I'm here. The next moment, I moved behind the vice principal with lightning speed. Startled, he shouted, Where did he go? I replied from behind him, Behind you. Before he could understand what was happening, I delivered a powerful kick that sent him crashing to the ground. I immediately stepped forward, supported the principal, and asked, Sir, are you all right? Just then, several black cars suddenly stopped outside, and multiple bodyguards quickly stepped out. The vice principal thought his backup had arrived and shouted happily, Ha! My backup is here. But the moment Wang Chen saw the man standing before him, his face turned pale. Third Uncle Chu. The third uncle of the Chu family asked in a cold voice, Yufei, are you all right? Yufei nodded. I'm fine, brother. Then he slowly turned his gaze toward Wang Chen. You touched my little sister? Trembling, Wang Chen said, Third uncle, please forgive me. The man replied in a voice as cold as ice. Anyone who touches my sister loses the right to live. Wang Chen fell to his knees and began crying. Please show mercy. But no one listened to a single word he said. In a final desperate attempt, he shouted, My nephew is Fang Honke Hungshan. You can't touch me. However, the Chu family's men had already dragged him outside. Shu Yufei's third uncle looked at her and said, Come on, I'll take you home myself. Chu Yufei looked at me and smiled softly. All right, see you later. But as she left, she kept turning back to look at me. Then the system's voice sounded, Ding! Shu Yufei's favorability has increased by 5 points. Current favorability, 85. Host's lifespan has increased by 50 days. Yufei softly said, Salen, now I'm truly indebted to you. If you ever face any trouble in the future, come directly to me. I nodded. All right. The principal then said seriously, I'll deal with Wang Chen and the Fang family, but the school will definitely repay both of you. A few days later, a special ceremony was held throughout the school. Standing on the stage, the principal announced, Today, we have gathered here especially to honor Yelin and Chu. Yufei. Salen generously donated 30 million for the school's new laboratory building and bravely protected the school during its time of crisis. The entire hall erupted in applause. Yufei waved and walked onto the stage. Meanwhile, the principal asked, Where is Salen? Yufei replied, He didn't come. Then she smiled slightly and added, Salen doesn't like showing off, which is why he isn't here. Elsewhere, I smiled faintly and said, You all enjoy the ceremony. I'm heading out to do some charity in action and spend a little money. I went and sat in the restroom lounge. Just then, Zhao Wanqing slowly walked over and stood in front of me. She was wearing an incredibly beautiful dress. She twirled lightly, smiled, and asked, How do I look? The system's voice immediately sounded, Ding! This dress was personally designed by Zhao Wanqing. Host, please praise her wholeheartedly. Standing beneath the sparkling lights, Zhao Wanqing truly looked like a mermaid who had just emerged from the sea. Mesmerized, I looked at her and said, Wanqing, who designed this dress? You look unbelievably beautiful in it. Wanqing smiled softly and replied, A friend of mine designed it. I nodded and said, Then your friend is truly a genius. At that moment, the system's voice echoed again. Ding! Zhao Wanqing's favorability has increased by 20. The host's lifespan has increased by 100 days. After that, as Zhao Wanqing and I arrived at the event venue, reporters immediately surrounded us the moment we stepped out of the car. As soon as they saw us, the host standing on the stage loudly announced, Our next guest is the representative of the Zhao Group. A haughty girl standing nearby curled her lips and said, Miss Zhao Wanqing, you came wearing your own design, and your taste in men is quite strange as well. Wanqing replied coldly, He is my invited partner. Please speak respectfully. But the girl did not stop. I heard Uncle Zhao wants to form ties with the Fang family, yet you're walking around with this pretty boy. Compared to Fang Hongxun, he's nothing. I chuckled lightly and said, If Fang Hongxun is so perfect, then why don't you marry him yourself? The girl trembled with anger. What did you say? Holding Wanqing's hand, I said, Let's go inside. There's no point wasting time talking to people like this. As we walked away, the girl gritted her teeth and shouted, Just wait! At tonight's auction, I'll turn your low-quality design into the joke of the entire city. A short while later, the auction began. The host's voice echoed throughout the hall. And now, tonight's main event, the new designer's charity auction. Facing off today are Sparkling Galaxy and Deep Sea Mermaid. Would both designers please come to the stage? Wanqing tightly gripped my hand. I'm really nervous. I smiled softly and said, Don't be afraid. Tonight, the most beautiful dress belongs to you. The system's voice echoed once again. Ding! Zhao Wanqing's favorability has increased by 10. The host's lifespan has increased by 500 days. The same arrogant girl standing on stage smiled and said, Zhao Wanqing, my parents are here tonight too. How can you possibly compete with me? The host announced. The starting price for both dresses is 200,000 wen. Bidding will now begin. A wealthy woman raised her hand. I bid 500,000 wen for Deep Sea Mermaid. Another woman said, This dress is amazing. I bid 800,000 wen. A third man loudly declared, My daughter would love this dress. I bid 1 million wen. The bidding continued to rise. Why 5 million? Someone exclaimed, The shine of this dress is like a starry night beneath the ocean. On the other side, the designer of Sparkling Galaxy gritted her teeth and thought, Are all these people blind? My dress is 100 times better than hers. Suddenly her mother stood up. I bid 5 million yuan for my daughter's Sparkling Galaxy. The entire hall filled with whispers. People began talking among themselves. No one will be able to outbid that. Let's watch something else. Smirking, the girl said to Wanqing, Now your dress will end up as a free bonus. Don't worry, I'll keep it. Maybe it can be used by the maid for cleaning. Zhao Wanqing replied coldly. You really enjoy showing off by relying on your parents, don't you? The girl laughed. So what? My parents love me, the host announced, going once at 5 million. Just then I slowly stood up from my seat. The entire hall fell silent in an instant. I bid 500 million yen for Deep Sea Mermaid. The entire hall froze. In a trembling voice, the host asked, Sir, are you serious? I calmly replied, Of course. Someone immediately shouted, Impossible! That has to be a fake bid. I looked at him coldly and said, when she kept raising the price of her dress. No one said anything. Gritting her teeth, the girl snapped, This trash dress can't possibly be worth 500 million. I smiled lightly. You need to understand the value of a great design. Then I turned toward the staff and said, Swipe the card. The employee immediately bowed. Yes, sir. I then added softly, But I have one condition. The girl laughed mockingly. See? I told you this pretty boy couldn't afford it. Looking at her calmly, I said, I don't want that free bonus dress. Give it to the cleaning staff to use as a mop. The girl trembled with rage. How dare you humiliate me? The auction host immediately replied, The winner of the auction has the right to decide what to do with the item. Then the machine announced, Payment successful. 500 million yen received. The entire hall was stunned. Impossible. This can't be real. Looking at me with astonished eyes, Wanqing whispered, Salin, you spent so much money for me again. I laughed softly and replied, No, it wasn't for you. It was for charity. And your design truly deserves that value. The businessmen standing nearby immediately gathered around us. Sir, which company are you from? I'm from Huaxing Construction. Can we get to know each other? I simply kept smiling. After a great deal of effort, I finally escaped from the crowd. Letting out a sigh of relief, Zhao Wanqing said, Phew, we finally made it out. At that moment, the system's voice echoed. Ding! Zhao Wanqing's favorability has increased by 20. Host lifespan increased by 1,000 days. A total of 500 million yen has been spent on the bound target Zhao Wanqing. Cashback reward, 25 million yen? I laughed to myself. Wanqing really is an incredible beauty. Even her cashback rewards are insane. However, the atmosphere suddenly changed. A middle-aged man spoke in a cold voice. Why are you behaving like this? I'm your father. Wanqing looked at him with a stern expression. The man continued. A girl should be modest and well-behaved. Why do you need so much attention and publicity? Stay at home and wait to marry into a good family. Wanqing's eyes turned red. During the last 2 years, every major contract won by the Zhao Group was secured by me and my team. But in the end, every single time, you took all the credit for yourself. She took a deep breath and said, They take away all of my achievements, but then they turn around and say that I'm just a girl. The truth is, the Gu Group is nothing without me. At that moment, the middle-aged man angrily slapped her across the face. Without our group, you would have no identity at all. After saying that, he stormed away in anger. I slowly walked over to her and said calmly, 1 billion. Would that be enough for you to start your own family business? The girl slowly raised her head and looked at me. You're the same person from the auction. Just then, the system's voice echoed. Detected gorgeous beauty. Beauty score 96 out of 100, successfully bound. Favorability set to 1. Host lifespan increased by 100 days. Cashback ratio? 1. I smiled slightly. Wow, now I can spend money in a cute way too. The girl softly asked, Are you the person who bid 500 million for Deep Sea Mermaid? I nodded. Yes, that was me. She looked surprised. We don't even know each other. Why are you helping me? I replied calmly. I've been observing for quite some time. Your father can't even answer interview questions properly. All the major projects were actually handled by you and your team. I figured that out long ago. Looking directly into my eyes, she asked, So you heard everything. Do you really believe women should just stay at home and take care of children? I answered without hesitation. This is the modern era. Gender doesn't matter anymore. Power, ability, and talent are what matter. Then I chuckled lightly. 10 billion. She was completely stunned. I won't be able to handle a company on that scale. I replied casually. To me, that's nothing. Inwardly, I thought, at most, I'll spend 10 billion. The system will give me back several times more than that anyway. We shook hands and the system immediately flashed a notification. Favorability plus 20. Host lifespans 2,000 days. The next day, at the Gu Group headquarters, Gu Qi's father shouted angrily, Say that again. What exactly are you trying to say? Suddenly, Gucci stood up from her seat. Starting today, I am no longer an employee of the Goo Group. I resign. The entire office fell silent. The vice chairman shouted, "If you leave, the entire industry will blacklist you." Just then, I walked into the office. "From now on, she'll be working with me." Gucci looked surprised. "Why are you here?" I smiled. "I came to pick you up on your first day." The system notification appeared again. Favorability increased by 10. Host lifespan increased by 1,000 days. The vice chairman suddenly stood up. "You're the same man who bought that dress at the auction for 500 million. Then he quickly said, "Mr. Salin, my daughter is still immature. She doesn't understand anything. Why do you want to cooperate with her? You can talk directly to me instead." Looking at him calmly, I replied, "But your daughter has already left your company. Or are you still planning to steal her credit?" I smiled faintly. I think the Goo Group is about to face a very serious problem. Hearing that, the vice chairman's face turned pale. The people around him nervously asked, "Chairman, are you all right?" I turned to Gucci and said, "I bought a building for you. Let's go." As we were about to leave, several employees suddenly stepped in front of us. One of them said, "Leader, can we join you too?" Another quickly added, "Even a lower salary is fine." A third employee said angrily, "The Goo Group has always stolen our credit." The next moment, the entire team spoke in unison. "We'll all go with you." Hesitantly, Gucci replied, "If you come to my company, I might not be able to pay you high salaries." Before she could say more, one employee stepped forward and said, "That's okay, leader. We're with you." Another immediately added, "You trained us from the beginning. We'll follow you." The entire team shouted together, "Yes, leader. We'll all go with you." I smiled lightly. "All right. If all of you truly want to come, you can join starting tomorrow morning. And one more thing. Whatever salary the Goo Group was paying you based on your abilities, I'll pay double." Then I looked at Gucci and said, "Relax." Taking a deep breath, she nodded. "All right, everyone. Come with me and pack your things." The whole team responded together. "We're ready." Suddenly, a voice came from the corner of the office. "The chairman is awake." Slowly opening his eyes, the chairman asked weakly, "Where is my daughter?" An employee answered nervously, "Ma'am, she left." The chairman muttered in a trembling voice, "How did someone like her end up in this family?" Then he hurried outside, but the moment he got there, his face froze. The entire office was empty. Panicking, he asked, "Where is the rest of the staff?" An employee lowered his head and replied, "Sir, they all left with her." Hearing that, the chairman's legs gave out and he collapsed in shock. Meanwhile, our new office building was equipped with a complete smart system setup. The manager said, "Boss, according to your request, the entire top-tier setup has been completed." I looked around and casually said, "It's nice, but a little small." Gucci looked at me in surprise. "I never imagined so many people would join our company at once. And you really shouldn't spend so much money." "We've only just started this company." Laughing, I replied, "This is just basic spending." Then I turned toward the manager. "Manager Lee?" The manager immediately answered, "Yes, boss." I asked, "As far as I know, the building next door is completely empty too, right?" The manager nodded. "Yes, boss, it's completely vacant." I said casually, "Good, buy both buildings. Here's my card." Manager Lee was stunned. "Boss, are you serious? The combined value of both buildings is over 1 billion. Without changing my expression, I replied, "Yes, completely serious. And both buildings will be registered under Director Gucci's name." Gucci immediately leaned closer and whispered in my ear, "We can't spend so much money at the beginning. It'll cause problems later." I laughed inwardly. I have unlimited money. Outwardly, however, I calmly replied, "If people work in a better environment, the company will grow faster, and I want the entire industry to see what our company is capable of." The moment I said that, all the employees standing nearby began cheering excitedly. "Long live Director Gucci! Our boss is the best. The new company will become number one." Just then, the system's voice echoed. "Detected, host has spent 1 billion. Cashback, 1 billion. Hearing that, I was thrilled inside. Wow! One move and I've earned 100 billion. The next evening, Gucci and I were sitting together having drinks. She softly said, "Don't you think we're spending a little too much?" I laughed. "If we're going to do something, we should do it the best way possible. We already have plenty of staff. I'm going to invest another 5 billion into the company's capital." Gucci was completely shocked. 5 billion? That's 5 times more than our original plan. And that's not even counting the building expenses. The budget has already exceeded the original estimate by 6 times. Then she slowly looked at me and asked, "Shen, how can I ever repay this kindness?" I replied calmly, "I trust you." Gucci immediately answered, "I won't disappoint you." Then she glanced at her watch. "I have a dinner meeting with some investors tonight. I need to leave. You've been drinking, so my driver will take you home." As soon as I arrived at the meeting venue, people around me started whispering, "Mr. Xia! Mr. Xia! After that charity event, you've become quite famous. It's nice to finally meet you in person." Suddenly, an anxious female voice came from inside. "Wong, I really can't drink anymore." Another man laughed and said, "Tong Tong, the VIPs are watching. Don't ruin the atmosphere." Holding her stomach in pain, Tong Tong replied, "Wong, my stomach really hurts." Wong angrily said, "I spent so much money supporting you and becoming your top supporter, and you won't even have a few drinks with me?" The people around them joined in. "Brother Wong, calm down. Tong Tong is still young. She doesn't understand." Another man said, "Tong Tong, don't stop toasting." If you don't drink, there will be consequences. Wong stretched out his hand and said, "Come here, Tong Tong. Have a drink with me. Maybe tomorrow I'll even give you some sympathy tips." Suddenly a loud noise came from outside. I kicked the door open and walked in. "Let me see who's pretending to be me." Tong Tong immediately looked at me and said, "Wait, did you come to save me?" Then she clutched her stomach and said painfully, "My stomach hurts so much." Wong angrily shouted, "Who's there? Where is security? Throw this man out!" A man sitting nearby stared at me and asked, "Sir, what exactly are you trying to say?" I replied coldly, "Someone is pretending to be me, and all of you mistook him for the real VIP?" Looking directly at him, I said, "I'm the real VIP." The man beside him immediately replied, "Lin, that's impossible. Mr. Zhu showed me his backstage records and gift history." Another person quickly added, "I saw it too. The account looked completely real. There's no way there was a mistake." Then Tong Tong's manager stepped forward and said, "Talking proves nothing. What evidence do you have?" She continued coldly, "Our backstage system shows that someone deliberately stole the host's account. Account recovery and hacking investigation are already underway." At that moment, the scammer laughed loudly. "Looks like you and this streamer came here together to fool all of us." The manager immediately added, "Sir, Tong Tong is an artist under our media company. You don't need to worry." Then she turned to me. "If you don't leave right now, we'll have to call the police." Suddenly, a man who knew me rushed forward from behind. "How can you treat Mr. S like this? Do you have any idea what the consequences will be?" I smiled lightly and said, "Call everyone in the hotel to the lobby. Tell them I'm giving away free cash." Within a few minutes, the entire lobby was packed with people. I stood in the center with my guards. Across from me stood the scammer, the manager, and several streamers. Some people impatiently began asking, "If money is being handed out, why hasn't it started yet?" The scammer laughed and said, "Do you really think he has that kind of money?" Tong Tong softly asked me, "What should I do now?" Looking at her calmly, I replied, "Just do what you always do during your live streams." Then I stepped forward and opened a large cash box. "Here's 50 million in cash." The entire lobby was stunned. I loudly announced, "Now start sending gifts to Tong Tong on TikTok. Whoever sends gifts will receive 10 times cash back from me. The bigger the gift, the bigger the payout, until the entire 50 million is gone." The lobby instantly went crazy. One streamer shouted, "Oh my god, I've never seen this much money in my life." Another person yelled, "What are you waiting for? Send gifts now." Someone else screamed, 10 times cash back? It's like free money falling from the sky." Notifications immediately started flashing across the screen. "You sent a rabbit heart gift. Cost $20, reward $200. Mr. Zhang sent a spaceship gift. Cost $2,000, reward $20,000. Mr. Lee sent a fantasy castle gift. Cost $10,000, reward $100,000. Someone shouted, "He's giving away 50 million and offering 10 times cash back too. Is he really the real VIP?" On the other side, sweat began pouring down the scammer's forehead. Still trying to stay calm, he said, 50 million is nothing. I've spent far more than that on the platform." Just then, a system notification appeared. "Host account fully recovered. You may now log in normally. Investigation confirms that someone used the host's prepaid balance. Therefore, the entire balance has been returned to the account with 10 times compensation." I smiled and said, "Mr. Zhu, why don't you send some gifts yourself now? If you can't even surpass my 50 million, that would be pretty embarrassing." The scammer gritted his teeth and replied, "Fine, I'll send gifts right now." But the next second, his face turned pale. He stared at his phone screen in panic. "Impossible! How did my account disappear?" he screamed. "My hacking skills are #1 in the country. No one has ever broken my anti-theft system." A man beside him laughed. "What happened? Why can't you send gifts anymore?" Another person asked, "Where did your account go?" A third shouted, "So you're not actually VIP 0? I smiled coldly. "Of course not. Real VIPs spend millions on gifts as casually as breathing." Suddenly, a massive animation exploded across the screen. "One Heaven's Dragon Rise gift has been sent." The entire hall erupted. Someone screamed, "What a dangerous fraudster this turned out to be." The next moment, the scammer and his associates began arguing among themselves. Some pushed each other, others cursed loudly. Then the police suddenly arrived. An officer stepped forward and said coldly, "Zhongling, you stole other people's personal information. You are suspected of fraud. Under the law, you are under arrest." The scammer screamed desperately, "Let me go! Let me go!" The officer grabbed his arm and said, "Come with us." The scammer was dragged away. At that moment, the manager realized her mistake. She nervously bowed before me. "Mr. Xia, I never imagined that you were the famous VIP Lee. Please forgive us." "We didn't recognize you," another man said in embarrassment. "We were truly fools." The manager quickly grabbed my hand. "You support Tong Tong so much. I promise we'll make her our company's #1 star. We'll bring in major sponsors for her. We'll hire the best fashion team in the country to style her." I walked directly over to Tong Tong and softly asked, "Tong Tong, why did you drink so much?" In a weak voice, she replied, "They said if I didn't drink during live streams, I wouldn't get any traffic." Looking at her calmly but coldly, I said, "From today onward, Tong Tong won't need any of your company's resources." Then I turned toward the entire company and announced, "I'll hire the most expensive and best lawyers in the country." In a cold voice, I added, "Find out how much it will cost to cancel her contract. Speak with the best legal team available." Then I looked at Tong Tong. "Tong Tong, come with me." I'm taking you somewhere. Surprised, she asked, "Where are we going, Mr. Sia?" A short while later, we arrived in front of a new building. As soon as we entered, the manager smiled and said, "This is the best streaming base in South City. Usually only top influencers and major media companies rent studios here." Looking around in amazement, Tong Tong said, "This setup is even more professional than my previous company's headquarters." The manager proudly replied, "Of course. The annual rent for each studio starts at 1 million. Looking at Tong Tong, I asked, "What style do you like?" Nervously, she replied, 1 million per year? We don't need to rent a place like this. Studios like these are only for important people. I can stream from home and set everything up myself." I smiled lightly and said, "But that would be very difficult. From now on, your only job is to enjoy streaming. I'll handle everything else." Then I turned to the manager and said, "I'm renting the entire floor for 1 year. The manager's eyes widened. "Sir, the annual rent starts at 30 million. Without hesitation, I handed over my card. "Fine, charge the payment today." Immediately, the system notification appeared. "Host spent 90 million on Yang Tong. Looks cashback, 4.5 billion. Looking at the entire studio, Tong Tong's eyes sparkled. I smiled and said, "Use whichever studio you like." Her eyes became slightly red. "Thank you, Sally. You've treated me so well. I'll become the best streamer and never disappoint you." I softly replied, "Tong Tong, don't put so much pressure on yourself. Just be happy. That's what matters most." Today's video ends here. Thank you for watching.